All right, welcome back everybody. I've got the spacer, I think, in pretty good shape here. Just gonna let this mud dry and give it a little gentle sand and then probably paint at least the bottom part, leave that alone. And that's ready for, I'm gonna have to work out how to run the photo backdrop and join these two sections together. That'll require a little bit of custom work, I think, to make those match up correctly. But I got the great stuff down in this little joint here, and stuff works great. Good name for it. It ends up, you fill it about halfway. It slowly expands and fills the space, and after about 20 or 30 minutes, it's got bubbles of it puffed out the top, which I came back with a serrated blade and cut. Then I gave it a little gentle sand, and I mean that's filled in now, and probably good enough to lay track across since I've sanded it and it's even, and then just take paint and call it good. It'll all be covered with scenery a la that, so you'll never see it, but the cracks filled in, and this side was a much better fit, and just gave it some all-purpose joint compound, the thing that I have been calling mud. I don't know if that's what people refer to as mud or not, but with that stuff done, I am gonna pivot here a little bit. I know I've been doing a lot of bench work type of things, and I think I'm gonna switch over to do some track work. So let me show you what I'm cooking up this week. All right, so I am standing about right here where the workbench is. And what I wanna do is work on this end of the yard and then start this main line. And the outer track is the main line, and the inner track is actually the yard lead, which comes all the way to here. So if you trace that back, you can see that's really long relative to the length of the yard tracks. I should be able to pull essentially an entire train in one go. So that's the thought with that yard lead coming way out here onto the peninsula. But what I want to do is kind of rework. There's some things being moved around here, and I'll go up on the layout and show that. And this is the way I've drawn this. This is a 30-inch radius main line. It's got a little small straight and then coming around. What I'm actually going to do is move everything out a bit, add a little bit more straight in the middle, and I think I might actually go with like a 36-inch curve over here, since I've got more room over here. Remember, this is actually like this now. It's not notched out like that, so I have more room to work with. I think the idea of bringing this sweeping out and then kind of back at an angle across here, more than what I had, the main, I mean, will look pretty good. And this is actually where the Deepwater terminal comes off the main. So I'll move everything back a bit and then have it angle back towards the aisle. And I think that'll look kind of cool rather than run parallel to the edge of the layout. So that's the plan. Let me just show the plans here real quick where I'm going to be focusing on. In the next shot, I'll be up on the layout itself to show this part. Okay, so up here, this is how South Yard was built on the original version. The wall was here, so the backdrop curved right here. Actually didn't curve, it was just a right angle, came straight out this way. And so those tracks all just stubbed right there. Changes are going to be this turnout's going away, and the main will just begin that sweeping curve I was talking about somewhere in here, and that goes across the U and out towards the peninsula. So let me pan back. So that turnout's going to go, and this track is going to go. This track is going to get extended, and all of this stuff is going to, instead of running back away from the aisle, it's going to turn kind of almost parallel to the aisle, and there'll be 1, 2, and then this track would make a third track for the engine servicing facility. And the reason for that change is it's 3 tracks. It's going to still be 3 tracks, but to service this before, the little industrial trackage is back here. It comes off that crossover over there, and all the yard local industrials back there. For this to service the engine facility, the crew had to actually come back out onto the main to get into the engine facility. So what I'm gonna do instead is use these 2 tracks for storage and servicing engines, and this back track for loads of fuel, sand, etc., whatever the servicing facility needs. And that'll go way back almost to that backdrop. I'm gonna add another turnout right after this one on the industrial lead, and it's gonna go back into essentially rip track, which is what these two tracks are gonna be. One will be where damaged cars can go, and the other will be for, you know, loads of scrap out and, you know, box cars of parts and brakes and whatever, and flat car loads or gondola loads of fresh wheels in. So I'll have a track that's the rip track itself, and then a track that is servicing for it. And then kind of like a brick facade going across in front of these trees and stuff for, you know, the industrial sort of kind of like that, that all this stuff would encompass. This curved turnout needs to go. Not actually go, it's gonna come out and move back that way a bit. And I'm gonna have another turnout in here, just like the one on the beginning of the ladder. So I'll actually have 3 tracks through here. This one will be the runaround, and just like it is today, and that's not changing. But instead of coming off this curved turnout, it's gonna come off a regular turnout right here. And I'm gonna move the curved turnout back, and that turnout, the diverging route, will come, and it'll be a 3rd track parallel to the runaround, and that's where I'm gonna put the ice house. Before, when I was operating, and I had mechanical reefers to deal with, I was using that track back there as the icing track. And again, that required crossing the main, going pretty far away from where the yard crew's doing its work. This feels like it's way more convenient for the yard crew to deal with. I never quite figured out in my operations how to make that work well way over there. It slowed things down too much. So I think being close will be really cool. Also, I have a kit, fine scale miniatures icing house or icing facility that I would like to have kind of front and center on the layout. And it's got a pretty decent footprint. So it'd be something from like here to maybe about here. So I'm not fouling my access to the yard lead, and I shouldn't bump into it. I'm right-handed, so it'll be on my left. But it would bring that really cool structure front and center. And that kit's kind of special to me anyway, because the same gentleman that this is named after is my grandfather. This was actually his kit. He never built it. When he passed away, one of my cousins kind of picked up some of the train stuff and asked me if I would like it. And I said, absolutely. So that would bring the ice house, I keep saying ice house, the icing facility front and center with a pretty cool fine scale miniatures kit. So that is the plan. We're gonna focus on those changes at this end of the yard, and then think about how the main's gonna come out off of here, get that in. And then what I want to start pivoting to already, yes, already, is scenery and sort of getting the basic scenery forms in over here. Because once I have this work up here done, I'll really feel like I can start to use my workbench. Right now, I feel like if I've got projects up there, but I'm also working up here, I'm gonna break a kit or drop something or just have a, you know, sawdust or something come down there that I'm not gonna want all over my kit. So I'm gonna stay focused over here. And frankly, I'd like to pivot away from some bench work and, you know, get into some track work and some scenery and stuff. So that is the big picture. All right, well, we have begun track work on version 2 of the Manchester and Deepwater. So I've removed all the tracks I was describing in the last segment that needed to go, and kind of digging through my stuff and found the number 5 turnout I want to use there. And this is the approximate location of where the curved turnout's going to go. And so you can see where the radius was before, how I'm pushing things out and really taking advantage of the additional space I have. I also need to come in here, and I've started just kind of scraping the little spots of glue off. I'll need to sand all that down, and then I'll be able to start laying track here. The other thing I did, I found the turnout that's going to go here for the second track on the rip track. So that's kind of setting the stage for what's going to happen down here in terms of track work. And like I said in the last segment, I really want to get this in and start getting the alignment over here so I can get this piece rolling. And really, I know I've said it more than once this year since I've been starting, but I do want to start getting into some kits and stuff. So I've just got to get this area done. And the last little note I'll leave y'all with, I did come in and bring the same brown paint on the front of this as I had everywhere else, and got this bit up here painted and ready to go. And I will seriously be leaving that area for a while and focusing down here on this end. So, pretty good week. I feel good that I've actually started doing a little bit of track work down here. I'm going to be focused on the track work. I want to get this backdrop, this piece of it in, and be rolling on this section. What I'd like to do is actually get this section, sort of this U, largely complete, kind of to the level that you see at the creek over here. So that's the big picture plan for where we are today. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope as things are opening up, people are able to go out and do some things and staying healthy and safe. And I'll talk to you all next week.